High Senator Calix Voss adjusted his ceremonial robes and gazed across the vast expanse of the Galactic Senate chamber. The massive amphitheater stretched before him, its curved walls adorned with shimmering holographic displays showing the faces of countless representatives from across the known universe. Light from the three setting suns of Centauri Prime streamed through the transparent dome overhead, casting rainbow-like reflections across the polished marble floors. Order in the chamber. Voss's voice boomed through the acoustically perfect space, his four arms raised in a gesture of authority. The general murmur of 300 different species, conversing in their native tongues, gradually died down. The 47,832nd session of the Galactic Senate is now in session. As was tradition, Voss's gaze swept across the chamber, acknowledging each delegation in turn. The thorny arachnidians clicked their mandibles in approval. The gaseous nebulons swirled in their containment spheres. The aquatic marinians burbled contentedly in their water-filled pods. And there, in Section Earth 7, sat the same empty seat that had remained vacant for the past 50 years. Senator Pax Lumina of the Photon Collective raised her hand, her form shimmering with barely contained energy. Point of order, High Senator. Once again, we observe the conspicuous absence of Earth's representative. This marks the 12th consecutive year without their participation in our annual trade route negotiations. A ripple of agreement passed through the chamber. Ambassador Ruman of the Silicon Federation, his crystalline form catching the light, spoke next. The humans have been granted every courtesy. Their seat remains reserved, their voting rights maintained, yet they send no one. Not even a holographic proxy. Voss suppressed a sigh. He had presided over this same discussion countless times. The Earth delegation maintains their right to representation, as outlined in the founding charters of our esteemed body. But why demanded Senator Zara Blackstar of the Nova Alliance, her star-speckled skin pulsing with irritation? They are barely a Class 3 civilization. They have not even unified their planetary government. Half their population still argues about whether faster-than-light travel is possible, while the other half posts pictures of their domesticated animals on their primitive information network. Laughter echoed through the chamber, a cacophony of different sounds from chirps to rumbles. Voss rapped his ceremonial staff against the podium, its resonant tone cutting through the noise. Need I remind the Honorable Senator Blackstar that Earth's classification is not up for debate. Their invitation to join this body was ratified by unanimous vote, including your predecessor's support. But that was before Senator Blackstar's voice trailed off, and an uncomfortable silence fell over the chamber. Everyone knew what she meant. Before the Proxima incident. Before the strange reports began filtering in from the outer territories. Before the rumors about what Earth was really doing with their isolation. A quiet beeping sound drew Voss's attention to his control panel. His outer eyes widened slightly as he read the incoming message. For the first time in his 30-year tenure as High Senator, he found himself genuinely surprised. Senators, distinguished representatives, he said, his voice carefully controlled. It seems our discussion about Earth's absence may have been premature. I have just received word that a human representative is requesting permission to address this chamber. The silence that followed was absolute. Even the normally chatty quantum consciousness collective ceased their perpetual probability calculations. In that moment of stunning quiet, the massive doors at the entrance to the chamber began to slide open. Before the chamber doors could fully open, Ambassador Lyra Thane of the Proxima Alliance strode through them. Her silver-scaled skin caught the light of the setting suns, and her ceremonial cape billowed behind her with practiced dramatic effect. The timing was so perfect that several senators exchanged knowing glances, certain she had been waiting outside for precisely this moment. My esteemed colleague, she announced, her voice carrying that particular tone of false humility that made High Senator Voss's spine ridges bristle. While we await this unexpected Earth representative, I move to address the pressing matter of the Sol system trade routes. Voss gripped his ceremonial staff tighter. Ambassador Thane, you do not have the floor. I invoke Article 7 of the Emergency Trade Provision, she countered smoothly, producing a data crystal from within her robes. The Proxima Alliance has documented 47 separate instances of supply chain disruptions along the Sol corridors in the past solar cycle alone. The chamber erupted in a chorus of voices. Senator Nexus 6, representing the machine consciousness, projected a series of rapid-fire equations into the air. Probability of coincidental disruptions 0.000073%. Statistical anomaly detected. Our freight vessels report unusual energy signatures in the region, rumbled Grand Merchant Colax of the trading guilds, his massive form leaning forward with interest. Distortions that our sensors cannot explain. Ambassador Thane's smile grew wider. Precisely why I propose an immediate vote to redistribute Earth's trading rights among more responsible members of this assembly. She paused for effect. Unless, of course, their mysterious representative would care to explain these anomalies. The doors remained partially open, but no one entered. A wave of murmurs swept through the chamber. "This is outrageous," the outburst came from Admiral Starweaver of the Stellar Nomads, rising from her gravity-defying seat. "The Sol routes have been neutral territory since the founding of this body. They serve as a buffer zone between the major powers. Redistributing them would upset the balance we have maintained for centuries." Senator Blackstar's star-speckled skin now pulsed with excitement rather than irritation. Perhaps it's time for change. Earth clearly cannot manage these responsibilities. They still burn fossil fuels on their own planet, for void's sake. Order Voss slammed his staff down 3 times. "Ambassador Thane, your motion is out of order. The Charter explicitly states that trade route reassignment requires presence and input from all affected parties." But High Senator Thane's voice dripped with concern. "Earth has never attended. By their own choice, they forfeit their right to object. The Charter also states that after 50 years of non-participation, a member's status can be reviewed." 49 years, 8 months, and 13 days, corrected Senator Nexus 6 helpfully. Technically not 50 years. Before Thane could respond, a new voice cut through the chamber. "Actually, it's been 49 years, 8 months, 13 days, 7 hours, and 22 minutes. If we're being technical." All eyes, optical sensors, and sensory appendages turned toward the still-open doors. A collective gasp rippled through the assembly as a figure finally stepped through, but it wasn't what anyone expected. Instead of a formal diplomatic delegation, there stood a single human wearing what appeared to be casual attire by their standards. The most shocking part: they were eating something from a small bag, the crunching sound echoing in the stunned silence. "Sorry I'm late," the human said, popping another morsel into their mouth. "Traffic was terrible. You would not believe how many solar storms I had to navigate around. Though I suspect here they looked directly at Ambassador Thane, some of them might not have been entirely natural." High Senator Voss found his voice first. "You are the Earth representative." "Alexandra Winter," she replied, making her way down to the Earth 7 section while still munching. "But everyone calls me Ally. Well, everyone except my mom when she's mad. Then it's Alexandra Elizabeth Winter, and I know I'm in real trouble." Ambassador Thane's scales had taken on a distinctly paler shade. "This is highly irregular. Earth cannot send an unbonded, non-governmental—" "Oh, I brought my credentials," Ally interrupted, reaching into her pocket. She pulled out what appeared to be an ancient Earth smartphone, completely ignoring the advanced holographic projectors surrounding her seat. "Just let me find them. I had them right here next to my cat pictures." The chamber descended into chaos. High Senator Voss looked at his staff, wondering if perhaps retirement wasn't such a bad idea after all. Ally Winter continued scrolling through her phone, seemingly oblivious to the uproar around her. Several security drones had materialized near the chamber entrances, their sensors trained on the casual human intruder. Ambassador Thane's scales now flickered between silver and an interesting shade of purple. "Found it," Ally announced cheerfully, holding up her phone. "Would you prefer the credentials in standard galactic format, or should I have them translated into all 312 currently recognized Senate languages? I brought both versions, because you know what they say about assuming things." High Senator Voss leaned forward, all 4 of his eyes narrowing. "You claim to represent Earth, yet you arrive in what appears to be exercise clothing." "Oh," this Ally glanced down at her outfit. "These are my comfy clothes. I figured if I'm going to sit through another famous 8-hour Senate session, I might as well be comfortable. Nice place you've got here, by the way. Very shiny. Though the acoustics are a bit show-offy, don't you think?" "This is an outrage." Senator Blackstar's star-speckled skin now pulsed with rapid bursts of indignant light. "The Galactic Senate is not some human entertainment venue. We demand proper protocol. Ali raised an eyebrow. Proper protocol, like secretly creating artificial solar storms to disrupt trade routes? Or proper protocol like planning to vote on redistribution of sovereign territory without notifying all parties involved? Because I've got to tell you. My copy of the Senate rulebook has some pretty specific things to say about both of those. The chamber fell silent. Ambassador Thane's scales settled on a decidedly unhealthy shade of gray. Those are serious accusations, Grand Merchant Colax rumbled, his massive form shifting forward with interest. Do you have evidence to support such claims? Evidence? Ally popped another snack into her mouth. Oh, you mean like the detailed sensor logs from the automated observation posts we scattered throughout our trade routes? Or maybe the quantum encrypted communications we intercepted between certain parties discussing their plans to manufacture a crisis? That kind of evidence. She pulled out another device, this one looking even more ancient than her phone. Anyone remember the Voyager probes? Cute little things we shot into space back in the 1970s? We may have upgraded them a bit. Turns out they make excellent stealth monitoring stations. Who would suspect a primitive space probe of housing quantum surveillance equipment? The quantum consciousness collective buzzed with rapid calculations. Processing new variables. Previous probability assessments require significant revision. But Earth is barely Class 3, protested Senator Pax Lumina, her luminous form flickering with confusion. Your species still debates the shape of your own planet. Ally burst out laughing. Oh, that's adorable. You actually believed our social media feeds? Next you'll tell me you thought those cat videos were accidentally taking up 30% of your galactic data bandwidth. She stood up, her casual demeanor shifting subtly. The snack bag disappeared somewhere into her pocket, and suddenly the exercise clothes didn't look quite so out of place. They looked functional, practical. Like something you'd wear if you needed to move quickly. Let me tell you a little secret about humans, she said, her voice carrying easily through the chamber without any amplification. We're really good at looking harmless. We've had lots of practice. Back on Earth, we spent thousands of years perfecting the art of looking like we're not paying attention, while actually noticing everything. Representative Winter High Senator Voss interjected, his tone cautious. Are you suggesting that Earth has been deliberately misleading the Senate? Misleading? Nah. We've been exactly what we appear to be, wasteful, argumentative, obsessed with cat pictures, and completely uninterested in galactic politics. We just happen to also be a few other things, like cautious, and really curious about what our neighbors were up to. Ambassador Thane found her voice at last. This changes nothing. The trade route disruptions will stop immediately, Ally finished for her. Just as soon as the Proxima Alliance withdraws its cloaked monitoring stations from the Kuiper Belt. Yes, we know about those too. Did you really think we wouldn't notice someone parking ships in our solar system? We tracked every single one. Named them too. We call the big one Bob. More security drones had appeared, but now they seemed unsure where to point their sensors. The human was obviously a threat, but she was also obviously a properly accredited representative. The contradiction was causing their logic circuits visible distress. If Earth has such advanced capabilities, Admiral Starweaver asked, professional interest overcoming her initial shock, why maintain this deception? Why not take your place in the Senate years ago? Allie's grin widened. Would you believe we were busy? Do you know how much effort it takes to maintain the appearance of being a dysfunctional civilization while actually building a post-scarcity society? The paperwork alone is murder. Plus, we really needed to know who our real friends were. She turned to face Ambassador Thane directly. For instance, we now have a pretty good idea who's been trying to destabilize our region of space, and who's been helping them, and who's been playing both sides against the middle. The real question is, what are we going to do about it? The silence that followed was broken only by the sound of High Senator Voss's ceremonial staff hitting the floor. He hadn't dropped it. He'd placed it down quite deliberately, with the air of someone who knew the next few hours were going to require his complete attention. Well, he said, raising all four hands in a gesture that somehow managed to combine exasperation and amusement. I believe this qualifies as an official response to the trade route proposal. Perhaps we should take a brief recess to process this new information. Oh no, Ally said, pulling out her snack bag again. I didn't navigate through artificial solar storms just to take a break now. Besides, I brought enough chips for everyone. Anyone want some? They're barbecue flavor. After a brief commotion involving the distribution of barbecue chips, during which several species discovered they had an unexpected fondness for Earth cuisine, Ambassador Thane attempted to regain control of the situation. "Very well, Representative Winter," she said, scales now settling into a more composed silver sheen. "Since Earth wishes to maintain its trade routes, perhaps a demonstration of administrative capability is in order. The Senate has traditional methods of resolving such disputes." "Let me guess," Ally replied, wiping chip dust on her pants, much to the horror of several elegantly robed senators. "You want to play Nexus?" The chamber filled with surprised murmurs. Nexus was the Senate's preferred method of testing species' problem-solving capabilities, a game so complex it existed in 7 dimensions and typically required a quantum computer to track all possible moves. Ambassador Thane's smile returned, sharp as a plasma cutter. "Indeed, though perhaps that would be unfair to a Class 3 civilization." "Nah, sounds fun." Ally pulled out her ancient smartphone again. "Just let me close my cat video app. Although, would anyone like to see this cute thing my friend's kitten did first?" "This is not a social media sharing session," Senator Blackstar erupted, her stellar skin practically strobing with indignation. "The challenge is accepted," High Senator Voss declared, tapping his staff 3 times. The center of the chamber shimmered as the Nexus board materialized, its holographic structure extending upward and outward in mind-bending geometric patterns. The machine consciousness representative, Nexus 6, stepped forward. "As the original architects of this game, we will serve as arbiters. Standard rules apply. First player to achieve dimensional harmony while maintaining quantum stability wins control of the disputed trade routes." Ally stood up, stretching casually. "Cool, cool, cool. Quick question though, are we playing by the original rules or the simplified version you created after the Arcturian delegation had that mental breakdown during the trade summit of 2218? A ripple of unease passed through the chamber. That incident had been quietly erased from official records. "The original rules," Ambassador Thane declared, her confidence evident. "Unless you require a simplified version. Original's fine." "But since we're being traditional about this," Ally's casual demeanor shifted again, that same subtle change that had unsettled the chamber earlier. "Should we make it interesting?" "Interesting?" Thane's scales flickered with curiosity. "Yeah, on Earth we have this thing called raising the stakes. If you're so sure about your position, why not put more than just the trade routes on the line?" High Senator Voss leaned forward. "What exactly are you proposing, Representative Winter?" "Simple. If I win, the Proxima Alliance has to publicly disclose all their activities in the Sol system over the past 50 years, including the ones they think we don't know about." Ambassador Thane's scales went completely white. "And if I win?" "Then Earth withdraws from the Senate entirely. No trade routes, no diplomatic relations, complete isolation. Though I should probably mention," Ally grinned, "I'm really bad at losing." The holographic Nexus board hummed to life, its 7-dimensional structure casting prismatic shadows across the chamber. Ambassador Thane took her position, her neural interface connecting smoothly with the game system. Ally walked up to her side of the board, still holding her ancient phone. "Representative Winter," Nexus 6 intoned, "please connect your neural interface." "Oh, I don't have one of those. I'll just use this." She waggled her phone. "Downloaded the app this morning." Several senators actually laughed out loud. Playing Nexus without a neural interface was like trying to perform quantum surgery with a stone axe. Ambassador Thane's confidence visibly surged. "Very well," Nexus 6 announced. "The game begins in 3, 2, 1. What followed would be discussed in Senate chambers for decades to come. Ambassador Thane played brilliantly, her moves displaying the calculated precision of someone who had mastered the game's intricacies over centuries. Her pieces danced through dimensional planes, weaving complex patterns that even the machine consciousness had trouble tracking. Ally, on the other hand, appeared to be playing like a caffeinated squirrel on a sugar rush. "That move makes no sense," muttered Admiral Starweaver, watching as Ally seemingly sacrificed a key position for no strategic gain. "The human strategy appears random," Senator Nexus 6 observed, calculating probability of victory 0.000000001%. But then something strange began to happen. Ali's apparently chaotic moves started creating unexpected patterns. Quantum resonances appeared where none should exist. Seven-dimensional structures twisted in ways that shouldn't be possible. That's not Ambassador Thane's scales began shifting rapidly through colors. You can't do that. Do what Ali asked innocently, making another seemingly random move. Oh, you mean using the quantum uncertainty principle to create a probability cascade? Yeah, we figured that out while trying to optimize our pizza delivery routes. Turns out seven-dimensional spacetime is super useful for getting pepperoni to people while it's still hot. The machine consciousness representatives were now buzzing with such intense calculations that their seats were vibrating. Unprecedented approach detected. Rewriting fundamental game theory. See, here's the thing about humans, Ali continued, her fingers dancing across her phone screen. We're really good at looking at rules and finding the spots where they don't say you can't do something. Like nowhere in the Nexus rulebook does it say you can't use quantum tunneling to move through your opponent's defensive matrix. Probably because nobody ever thought to try it. Ambassador Thane was now frantically trying to counter moves that seemed to break the very laws of probability. This is impossible. You're cheating. Nope, just thinking differently. By the way, Ali made one final move. Checkmate. Or whatever you call it in 7 dimensions. The Nexus board froze, its holographic structure pulsing with confirmation of the game's end. The machine consciousness representatives were still trying to process how it had happened. Several had to reboot. High Senator Voss cleared his throat. The game is concluded. Earth maintains control of its trade routes and the Proxima Alliance. We'll be providing that data about their activities in our system. Ali finished, already pulling out her snack bag again. Don't worry, we'll compare it to our records. Just to make sure nothing gets left out. She looked around the stunned chamber. Anyone up for another game? No? How about I show you that kitten video then? As the implications of the Nexus game sank in, Ambassador Thane's composed facade finally cracked. This proves nothing. A simple game cannot determine the fate of galactic trade routes. You're right, Ali said, pocketing her phone. So let's talk about what Earth has really been up to for the past 50 years. Remember those solar storms causing trade disruptions? Funny thing about those, they weren't actually storms at all. She pulled out what looked like an ordinary pen and clicked it. The chamber's holographic system suddenly flickered, then expanded, showing a real-time map of the Sol system trade routes. Red dots appeared, marking the locations of the supposed solar storms. These disruptions, Ali continued, twirling the pen between her fingers, were actually the side effects of our quantum transportation network coming online. Oops, our bad. Should have probably warned everyone about that. Senator Pax Lumina's luminous form dimmed in shock. Quantum transportation. But that's theoretically impossible without a stable quantum entanglement grid spanning the entire. Her voice trailed off as understanding dawned. Those cat videos taking up your bandwidth, Ali grinned. Quantum data packets. We've been building the grid for decades, hiding it in plain sight disguised as social media traffic. Every cute kitten video carried the quantum signatures needed to stabilize the network. The machine consciousness representatives were now emitting visible sparks of excitement. The cats were quantum entanglement nodes. Well, not the actual cats. Though now that you mention it, Ali made a note on her phone. That's not a bad idea. Project Quantum Kitty, coming soon to a social media platform near you. High Senator Voss gripped his staff tightly. You mean to tell us that Earth has achieved stable quantum transportation while maintaining the appearance of a primitive civilization? Oh, that's just the boring stuff, Ali waved dismissively. Want to know what we did with all those fossil fuels we were supposedly still burning? Turns out if you process them through a quantum catalyst array. They make excellent fuel for dimensional phase drives. Those old oil rigs on Earth? Actually quantum reactor cooling towers. Global warming? More like a controlled terraform to optimize our planet's energy absorption for the quantum grid. Admiral Starweaver stood up so quickly her gravity-defying seat spun in circles. The dimensional phase drive is a myth. Even the precursor civilizations never achieved. Never achieved it because they were thinking too linearly, Ali interrupted. Humans have this weird ability to look at something impossible and say, hey, what if we try it anyway? Sometimes we blow stuff up, but sometimes. She clicked her pen again, and her casual outfit shimmered, revealing a sleek quantum tech suit underneath. Sometimes we figure it out. The chamber erupted in chaos. Security drones zoomed in different directions, confused by readings that shouldn't be possible. Senator Blackstar's stellar skin was strobing through colors that hadn't been seen since the Big Bang. But why, Grand Merchant Colax demanded, his massive form trembling? Why maintain this deception? Because you all kept underestimating us, Ally replied, her voice carrying easily over the commotion. And honestly, it was kind of hilarious. Do you know how hard it was to keep a straight face when you called us primitive? We had to create an entire department dedicated to posting flat Earth theories just to maintain our cover. She gestured at her quantum tech suit. We could have shown up 50 years ago in all our technological glory. But then we saw how you treated other emerging civilizations. The trade restrictions, the technology embargoes, the cultural guidance protocols. So we decided to play dumb while we figured things out our own way. Ambassador Thane, her scales now a sickly shade of green, found her voice. The Proxima Alliance will not stand for this deception. We demand. You demand nothing, Ally cut in, her casual tone gaining an edge. Because here's the really fun part. Remember that data disclosure you agreed to? We already have it all. In fact, she pulled out her phone one more time. I'm posting it to Space Twitter right now. We call it a data dump back home. Along with proof of every attempted incursion into our space, every secret monitoring station, and every backroom deal made to try and seize our trade routes. The phone made a cheerful ping sound and posted, trending already. The memes are going to be amazing. High Senator Voss looked at the chaos erupting around his chamber and made a decision. He started laughing. It began as a small chuckle and grew into a full, four-armed belly laugh that echoed through the space. 50 years he wheezed between laughs. 50 years of watching us scramble to understand why Earth never showed up, while you were building technology we thought impossible and hiding it behind cat videos and social media arguments. To be fair, Ally added, some of those arguments were real. Humans really will debate anything. But yeah, we might have engineered some of them to be extra ridiculous. The Great Pineapple on Pizza debate of 2023. That was actually a cover for testing our first quantum communication array. The Quantum Consciousness Collective suddenly buzzed with new calculations. Query the recent surge in human entertainment content discussing first contact scenarios. Oh yeah, all those movies and shows about aliens. Ally's grin turned mischievous. Let's just say Earth believes in being prepared. We've been running social simulations through entertainment media for decades. You would not believe how many different ways humans have imagined handling extraterrestrial civilizations. Some of them were even close to accurate. She looked around the chamber, taking in the shocked faces, strobing lights, and general chaos with evident satisfaction. So, now that all the cards are on the table, who's ready to discuss some real trade agreements? And this time, maybe we can skip the secret surveillance and artificial solar storms hours later. The Galactic Senate chamber had mostly recovered from its collective shock. Ambassador Thane had been quietly escorted away by her own delegation after attempting to claim she had known about Earth's capabilities all along. The machine consciousness representatives were still processing the quantum mathematics behind the cat video network, occasionally emitting happy beeping sounds when they decoded another layer. High Senator Voss surveyed the chamber, where the remaining representatives were engaged in animated discussions about the implications of Earth's revelations. Representative Winter, I believe we owe humanity an apology for our presumptions. Water under the bridge, Ally replied cheerfully, then noticed the confused looks. Oh, sorry, that means no worries. Like water flowing under a bridge, it's already past us. We have lots of sayings like that. Fascinating. Senator Pack's luminous form brightened with interest. Please explain more of these Earth sayings. Well, there's no use crying over spilled milk. Your species has emotional attachments to dairy products, Admiral Starweaver asked, genuinely concerned. No, it means you know what. Never mind. Let's talk about those trade agreements. Ally pulled up a holographic display from her quantum tech suit. First order of business, we'd like to formally announce Earth's new status as a quantum transport hub. Our network's already built, tested, and ready to go. Who wants to be the first to ship their goods at near instant speeds? The chamber erupted in a flurry of raised hands, tentacles, and other appendages. "Hold your horses, everyone," Ally said, causing several species to look around for equine creatures. "Sorry," another saying. "What I mean is, we'll need to establish some ground rules first." Grand Merchant Colax leaned forward eagerly. "What are your terms?" "Pretty simple, really. No more secret surveillance, no more trying to steal our technology, and absolutely no more attempts to artificially engineer trade disputes." Also, she added with a grin, everyone has to officially acknowledge that pineapple is an acceptable pizza topping. "This pineapple requirement seems oddly specific," Senator Nexus 6 observed. "Just kidding about that last one." Although Ally made another note on her phone. Adding that to the next social simulation might be fun. High Senator Voss tapped his staff for attention. "The Senate formally recognizes Earth's technological achievements and sovereign rights. Furthermore, we would be very interested in learning more about your unique approach to innovation and problem solving." "Sure thing. We're actually pretty excited to stop pretending to be less advanced than we are. Do you know how hard it was to keep our quantum physicists from publishing their breakthroughs just because they were too early for our timeline? We had to create an entire online gaming industry just to give them something else to do with their time." "Your video games are also scientific endeavors?" Senator Blackstar asked, her stellar skin pulsing with curiosity. "Some of them. Ever wonder why Earth seemed so obsessed with space exploration games? Great way to test different spacecraft designs without anyone noticing. Though some games really are just for fun. Looking at you, Goat Simulator." As the chamber settled into more formal discussions about trade agreements and technological exchange programs, Admiral Starweaver approached Ally privately. "One question, Representative Winter. Why reveal everything now? Why not maintain the deception longer?" Ally smiled, but this time it was a bit softer. "Because you were starting to make decisions that would have hurt people. Those trade route disruptions were affecting real lives. Besides," she shrugged, "keeping up appearances was getting boring. There's only so many times you can pretend not to understand basic physics before it starts driving you nuts." She looked around the chamber, at all the species now eagerly discussing cooperation instead of plotting against each other. Sometimes the best way to help people grow is to let them figure things out on their own. But sometimes you need to step in and say, "Hey, we're all in this together. Let's stop playing games and start building something better." Although she added with a wink, the games were pretty fun while they lasted. "Anyone up for another round of Nexus? This time I'll teach you the really interesting ways to bend probability 1 month later." The Galactic Senate chamber buzzed with its usual activity, though things had changed considerably since Earth's dramatic revelation. The empty seat in Earth 7 was now occupied by a rotating cast of human representatives, each more casually dressed than the last. Today's representative was teaching the Arachnidian delegation how to play something called poker while explaining quantum mechanics. High Senator Voss watched with amusement as several species attempted to master the human art of fist bumping. The Nebulons were having particular difficulty, their gaseous forms passing right through each other's attempted bumps. Order, he called, though with less force than before. The chamber had become notably more relaxed since humans started regularly attending. Today's agenda includes a discussion of the new quantum transport network, which is now operating at 20% capacity, and yes, Representative Parker. The human of the day lowered his hand. "Just wanted to mention that we've upgraded the network. It's running at 40% now. Turns out using cat videos for quantum entanglement was actually slowing things down. We switched to dog videos instead. Much more efficient." Senator Blackstar's stellar skin pulsed with what everyone now recognized as her trying not to laugh. "And how exactly are dogs more quantum efficient than cats?" "No idea. We just tried it because someone said it would never work. That's like catnip to human scientists. Speaking of which, we're thinking about actually making quantum catnip next. Anyone interested in funding the research?" As the chamber devolved into animated discussion about quantum-enhanced pets, Ambassador Thane's replacement, a much more diplomatic Proximan named Senna, approached the human representative. "There's one thing we've been wondering," she said, her scales shimmering with genuine curiosity. "Why were humans really absent all those years? Was it truly just to develop technology in secret?" Parker grinned. Actually, want to know the real reason Earth's seat was empty for so long? He leaned in conspiratorially. We kept meaning to come, but we were seriously stuck in traffic. Traffic, Senna's scales shifted in confusion. But you had quantum transportation technology. Yeah, but we spent so much time perfecting our excuse for being late that we kind of forgot to actually show up. You know how sometimes you spend more energy avoiding doing something than it would take to just do it? Classic human move. Senator Voss, overhearing this, finally dropped his ceremonial staff. He didn't pick it up. Instead, he joined the growing number of representatives who had learned to appreciate the human art of face palming. Somewhere on Earth, a cat video went viral. It may or may not have contained quantum data. But that's another story.